Welcome, everyone. My name is Robin Beliveau, and I'm the Outreach and Training Specialist at the Brunswick County Board of Elections. Thank you so much for joining us for our fifth seminar in our election education series. Tonight's seminar is about voting equipment. Our presentation will cover computer check-in, paper ballots, Hart InterCivic Verity equipment, logic and accuracy testing, security measures, and the results process. In Brunswick County, we use computers to check in voters. Not all counties in North Carolina use computer check-in. Some use paper lists and voter address labels to check in voters. The state provides us with software in which our voter registration database is input. There are two software systems we use. SOSA, or SEAMS One-Stop Voting Application, is used during one-stop early voting. OVRID, or On-Site Voter Registration Database, is used on Election Day. The differences between the two software systems correspond to the type of document provided to the voter before they can obtain their ballot. Both systems require that we input the voter's name and search, then confirm the address with the voter. It is state law that the voter provide their name and address when presenting to vote. For One Stop, we issue a one-stop application, and on Election Day, we provide an authorization to vote form. Using computer check-in, as opposed to paper and labels, has multiple benefits. In Brunswick County, it is more cost-effective to use computers than paper based on factors such as number of voters and number of precincts. While computers are assigned a precinct, the entire voter registration database is available, though only in-precinct voters can be checked in at that precinct. When we look up a voter, the software will tell us if the voter is in the correct precinct or not. If they are not in the correct precinct, then the system will tell us what their correct precinct is, so we can provide that information to the voter and give them the option to stay and vote provisional or to go to their correct precinct. Paper lists would not provide that information. In addition, the software has a feature that allows us to print out the address for any of our precincts, which can be provided to an out-of-precinct voter if they need. All 100 counties in North Carolina use paper ballots under state law. This is to ensure there is a paper trail which can be audited or recounted. There is a multi-step process to ballots being created. Before any ballot can be created, it must be determined who will be on the ballot, and this begins with candidate filing. Once candidate filing is completed, the state compiles all the information such as contests, candidates, and precincts. This is assembled into a series of files used to create the data for the ballots. The data is mapped to determine how the data will look on the ballots. Then once the ballots are created, they are proofed by a minimum of 4 people. 2 people at the state level and at least 2 people from the Board of Elections office will proofread each ballot style to ensure it is correct. Official ballots themselves have unique identifiers to ensure authenticity. These are encoded into the ballot, making it impossible for them to be read more than once into a machine or tabulator. A photocopied ballot or sample ballot will not be accepted by the voting equipment. Additionally, ballots for one precinct will not be accepted into a tabulator at another precinct unless that tabulator has been specifically programmed to accept more than one precinct's ballot, for example, during One Stop. Now, during One Stop early voting, our early voting sites use a print-on-demand system to provide the appropriate ballot to each voter. We use Hart InterCivic Verity equipment throughout our polling locations, as this equipment has been approved by the state of North Carolina. Each Verity print is programmed with all ballot styles in the county. Even if the contests are the same in more than one precinct, they are coded by precinct and would be separate ballot styles. In a primary election, there will be at least 2 ballot styles per precinct, as there will be a ballot for each party at each precinct. In a general election, there will be 1 to 2 and possibly more ballot styles per precinct, as our county has 2 House districts. In a municipal election, there could be upwards of 65 or more ballot styles, as we have 19 municipalities, 2 sanitary districts, and a hospital district. This could mean 5 to 6 ballot styles per precinct. At early voting, it makes fiscal sense to print on demand. We are able to reuse blank ballot paper from one election to the next, while counties that only use printed ballots are required to print 100% of registered voters. Using a print on demand cuts down on paper and toner costs. So why don't we put a Verity print at each polling location on election day? A Verity print costs over $6,000, and as ballots are precinct specific, it is faster to have printed ballots on election day than to wait for them to print, allowing for a smoother voting process. Now, we would need 45 machines for efficiency at the polls. We currently carry 13 to cover our early voting locations. At busy polling locations, we operate 2 Verity prints to keep lines moving. To cover those 45 machines would require an additional $200,000. As with all Verity equipment, the Verity print has no network capabilities. There is no port for a network cable, and it is no option to go online. The Verity Scan from Hart InterCivic is a ballot scanning and tabulating device. We provide one Verity scan to each polling location. Voters hand feed paper ballots into the scanner in order to cast the ballot. Ballots can be inserted into the Verity scan in multiple orientations: face up, face down, header first, or footer first. When voters cast ballots, Verity Scan pulls the ballot through a motorized feed, and the device simultaneously scans the front and back of a paper ballot, interprets voter marks, and communicates any issues that require the voter's attention back to the voter through an LCD display. For example, if the voter has marked too many choices in a race, the display lets the voter know this and offers the option to return the ballot for correction or to cast the ballot as is. Our Verity scans are also configured to return entirely blank ballots or ballots with stray marks that may make it difficult for the scanner to interpret the data, such as when a mark on the ballot touches more than one choice or a stray mark has interfered with the ballot barcodes. If the ballot has none of these issues, then the Verity scan deposits the ballots into an integrated and locked ballot box. It is important to note that an undervote will be accepted, as voters are not required to cast a vote in all contests on a ballot. Verity Scan has tabulating capabilities, which stores all scanned ballot results on an encrypted V drive. When the polls close, the machine is programmed to print out the race results and other information on a paper tape. Both are handled by a bipartisan team and secured for delivery to our office the same night. As with all the Verity equipment, the Verity Scan has no network capabilities. There is no port for a network cable, and it is no option to go online. The Hart InterCivic Verity Central is a batch-fed digital ballot scanning system used to process large quantities of paper ballots. We use this system at our absentee board meetings to quickly and efficiently scan approved absentee by mail ballots. The system includes a PC workstation, which is integrated with an attached scanner. Voter selections are read into the Verity Central system and saved to the portable encrypted V drives, but are not tabulated. The tabulation happens on the Verity Count computer on election night. It's important to note that Verity Central only scans ballots. It does not have tabulation capabilities. This is helpful as we scan absentee by mail ballots in advance of election day to speed up the process of tabulation on election day once the polls close. The first results often reported on election day are absentee by mail and early voting results due to this process. Federal law and North Carolina state requirements require voting systems placed in every polling location that are equipped with features to assist voters with disabilities cast their ballot privately and independently. In Brunswick County, our voting enclosures are equipped with the Verity Touch Writer from Hart InterCivic. Each precinct has one machine available to voters. Only a precinct official can open the ballot on the machine for a voter to use. Voters must check in and obtain their authorization to vote form before using Verity Touch. The device has several options to assist those who are blind, visually impaired, or have dexterity issues. Verity Touch will not allow voters to overvote, and voters are required to go through a review of their choices before being given the option to print their ballot. This actually reduces voter error and spoiled ballots. The machine can be used by anyone, but as mentioned, a ballot can only be opened for use by a trained poll worker. The machine has multiple features and two main methods for voting. The TouchWriter has touchscreen capabilities. Voters can tap the screen to indicate their choices, and there are options to change the font size or the color of the background and text for increased visibility. The Verity Access is an attached audio tactile interface, or ATI, which is a console that includes a rotary wheel to move through the ballot, a select button to mark choices, and Braille under each button. The ATI also supports headphones for voters to listen to the ballot choices and sip and puff devices for voters with dexterity impairments. Once the voter reviews their choices, they are given the option to print or return to the ballot. The ballot prints with the choices marked. The voter then takes their completed ballot to the Verity scan and inserts it into the tabulator to complete the voting process. Logic and accuracy, or LNA testing, is a collection of pre-election procedures that ensure that the voting equipment and ballots to be used in an upcoming election can properly display the ballot, collect votes, and tabulate results. This process can take up to 2 weeks and is done before every election by a bipartisan team. Our logic and accuracy testing is live streamed for the public. Testing is done about 6 weeks prior to an election to provide the state or our office plenty of time to fix any equipment or ballot issues. There are 4 major steps used during LNA testing, specifically of our Verity Scan and Verity Central devices: test decks, a run-through on equipment, review of results to ensure accuracy of equipment, and a mock election is performed to ensure state results match our county test results. So what are test decks? Test decks are a group of ballots. Test decks are created for each ballot style every election. Depending on the number of test decks, it can take up to 3 days to create the decks themselves. The ballots in test decks are pre-marked with a predetermined pattern that is matched up against the results from testing. The ballots in a test deck are a combination of hand-marked, pre-printed with markings, and Verity TouchWriter marked ballots. Once the decks are created, we need to run them through the machines. Each deck is read into the Verity Scan and the Verity Central. Decks can vary in size depending on number of registered voters who would receive that ballot style. Some decks have as few as 27 ballots, while others can have over 100 ballots in a single deck. A single deck can take anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes or even 2 days to complete. Once all the test decks are run through the machines, the results are checked. The goal is for all results to match the predetermined outcome. The Verity machines keep a count of the number of ballots scanned or printed. This counter is checked against the number of ballots from the decks. As always, we are looking for the numbers to match. Next, the results tape and the tabulated results from the V drive are checked to see if they match the predetermined results. The data is saved to a brand new, individually packaged, freshly opened USB hard drive. This happens 5 times and is saved for the mock election. These are held for 5 years as part of the state's guidelines on records retention. Then the bipartisan team who oversaw the equipment testing will work through a checklist: returning the V drive to the machine, zeroing out the machine, and securing the V drive with a security seal that is recorded on a log. This seal will remain on the machine until it is checked and opened by a bipartisan team on election night after the polls have closed. The final step in testing is the mock election. This is where we check that our results match what the state plans to report. The saved data from testing is uploaded to the state. The state's reporting system reads the data. and we confirm the numbers from our decks match the state data. If so, then the state software is reading our data correctly. There are multiple security measures utilized to keep equipment safe and secure. Computers used for check-in have encrypted hard drives. They are also not put on an external network on election day. Computers in a precinct are connected to one another and share data, but are not on any internet connection. The computers in a precinct need to share data so that a voter cannot check in more than once at the same precinct. And if a voter shows up at another precinct, their voter registration would show them to be at a precinct, and they would not be able to vote a ballot that is inserted into the Verity scan. They would have the option to vote a provisional ballot, choosing from a ballot available at that precinct. These ballots may not have choices they are eligible to vote on, which is why it is so important for voters to go to their correct precinct on election day. Software on the Verity computers and the Verity equipment is in secured kiosk mode, which means there is no access to the operating system. None of the Verity equipment, the print, scan, or touch, have a network port. It is against the law for any of this equipment to have the ability to be put online. We always use a bipartisan team to conduct testing of all equipment. Equipment is kept in a locked room in the Board of Elections office that requires security card access. This access is only granted to select personnel. Every election, security codes and passwords are changed on the computers and to open and close all Verity equipment. A bipartisan team opens and closes the Verity equipment at the polling locations. Zero tapes and results tapes are reviewed and signed by our bipartisan team of chief judge and judges, as well as the machine tech assigned to that location. All our polling locations are staffed by a bipartisan team of judges to include a chief judge and 2 judges. The trio cannot be of the same party. The Board of Elections board is on site along with Board of Elections staff and a bipartisan team to view all steps in confirming results. Before the V drive is removed, the security seal is checked against the log noted at logic and accuracy testing. Results tapes and V drives are transported by a bipartisan team to the Board of Elections office on election night. Delivery is direct from the polling location, and a check-in system is used when the team arrives at the office. At the Board of Elections office, the results are read into the main Verity computer. This computer has no network connection. Results tape and V drive results are compared to confirm a match. The process is live streamed as results are transferred from the main Verity computer to a brand new individually packaged, freshly opened USB hard drive. Once about 6 to 7 precincts have had their results confirmed and read into the main Verity computer, a brand new USB drive is removed from its packaging and the results are loaded onto the new drive. These results are then uploaded to the state through an online computer using a VPN connection with multiple security features. A fresh USB drive is removed from new packaging every time there will be an upload. And once a USB drive has been used, it is never used again. It is stored for 22 months per state guidelines regarding retention. Numbers are verified at 4 different stages prior to being released to the public. So I hope you enjoyed tonight's seminar and that you have a better understanding of our voting equipment. Before we conclude, I would like to mention our last 2 election education seminars for 2023, and you can scan the QR code for more information. Thursday, September 21st is our Prepare to Vote seminar, where you can learn what steps you can take to ensure a smooth voting experience, including confirming your registration, knowing your deadlines and important dates, all about same-day registration, how to find your sample ballot and your assigned precinct, provisional ballots, what they are and why they're important, and candidate and party promotion, what you can wear when voting, and also dealing with electioneers. On Thursday, December 7th is our seminar on certifying an election, where we will talk about Canvass, voter history, provisional ballots, and our sample audit count. Now, if you have a topic you want us to cover next year, we ask that you submit your request through our FAQ form on the homepage of our website. You can scan the QR code in this presentation. And if you missed our first several seminars, you can find the recordings on our YouTube channel at Brunswick NC Votes. Now, we also have one more poll worker orientation scheduled before we begin training in September for the municipal election. Poll workers or election officials, precinct officials, they operate the polls and provide assistance to voters throughout our 27 precincts during early voting and on election day. We rely on hundreds of poll workers each election to maintain and run our voting sites. These poll worker orientations that we have are no obligation sessions that provide interested community members the opportunity to learn the roles, responsibilities, and necessary requirements to being a poll worker in Brunswick County. If you've ever thought about doing this, then I encourage you to join us for our last session that will be here in the Commissioners' Chambers next week on Thursday, August 24th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. We also have additional sessions located in early November or December in advance of the primary election in March if you're unable to attend the session next week. So thank you all for coming. We appreciate your time here today. This is a slide with our contact information, website, and social media handles. I encourage you to follow us on any of these sites that you use. We are continuing to work on expanding our social media presence to provide accurate and timely information to our community. So please encourage your friends, family, and neighbors to follow us as well. Share our posts to people you know as well. And if you have questions at any time after this meeting, you can go to our website and complete the submission form so we can get them answered for you. Thank you so much and have a great night.